spew, I mean, messages onto you, or they try to skew the data to try to make it seem like one side is better than the other. I mean, a lot of the news sources now are trying to move more towards moderate. I was reading about the other day, not like Fox or anything, like a lot of new ones that are starting up. They're trying to be like, oh, we're the ones that are no biased. We have no allegiance to any party, no allegiance to any sort of left wing, right wing, moderate, center left, center right. We try to just throw you the facts and you run with them in whatever way you want to. The problem I have with that is then all you're doing is just writing facts down. I mean, what makes the article interesting is the perspective of the writer so that you then can see where the writer is going because then that you could be like, oh, okay, this guy's right. He's connecting this to that and he's connecting in a really good way. I never really realized you could do it that way. And that is what is critical about journalism I mean, I hate to say it, but in a biased manner, because that's just what it is. I mean, everyone is biased in their own way. No
Yeah.
one's going to be thinking the exact same on every single topic. And if you are, wow, that's lucky. But not everyone's going to be doing that at 100% of the topics. But I think that having a bias is definitely a good thing. I mean, for the moderates out there in the world, I think that myself, I included, since I consider myself a moderate. I think that, I mean, what I look at, for example, I usually just look at the headlines, and I usually decide not to click on the article. But when I do click on the article, I usually run through it, and I see where the writer goes. I want to see what they connect to sometimes, because sometimes they may say, like, okay, well, that's actually a good connection. I mean, I'm not going to always change my political view based off that, but it gives me a perspective on why that person has their political view, which I think is why having journalism in a way that's splinter and any really source, I mean, even a right wing source like Breitbart, for example, having sources like that and in journalism is really critical, I think, right now, especially since it's really getting attacked by the big mega companies in this country.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think I mean it's so refreshing when you hear kind of a lot of mealy mouthed writing and kind of just standard writing in these legacy media outlets. It's so refreshing to support media outlets that really, from whatever perspective, just go after power, and they're not afraid to like call people out, attack people, and say, "Okay, you're wrong, you're corrupt, you're bad, whatever." I mean, obviously, it's better for you. It's probably better for whoever, um, whatever side they're listening to, whatever political perspective that they have. That's probably the one that they like to hear from the most. But the thing is, it's really, really refreshing. I'm sure you may agree with me on this. Just to hear people who know how to like put their foot down and say, okay, we need to get aggressive on this. We need to push on this and uh, just kind of take no prisoners. That's a really refreshing sound, and it's something that's really, in my opinion, not shown enough in journalism these days.
Yeah, I agree there with you as well. I think in journalism nowadays, they kind of try to make it kind of just they try to make it seem like they're just spewing the facts instead of having their own opinion pieces, which is definitely a big change that we've had in this country. I think opinion pieces definitely are good to have. Um, while they say, I mean, I will give a point though. A lot of the opinion pieces in this country sometimes don't always give a good perspective on certain things. Sometimes they don't always connect things the correct way. I will give them, not everyone does everything the best way. But I think having journalism in a sense of actually having a path, because I find sometimes when I read articles nowadays, I don't really see where they're trying to get to. They're just saying things and not going anywhere. There's no destination in the GPS. And the problem with that type of journalism is that you don't know if this person is a conservative, liberal, moderate, libertarian, you name it. And it's good to see where their perspective is because it's really actually, in my opinion, interesting to see what they believe in and as to why they believe in it. Because in articles, a lot of times they'll source and say, well, I believe in this because of that and that. And these are the reasons why I really am strong on this position. I like that type of journalism, in my opinion, as well. I think it's really good for this country to have that type of journalism because it really lets people have and show their opinion and try to spread it actually around this country, which is something we need right now.
Yeah, all right. I do want to turn quickly to some interesting news about what could be going on in the 2020 race. And an interesting piece is from the New York Times, and some real speculation about this, about a bunch of people saying that they're not happy with the current massive field that's up right now, because a lot of these Democrats are coming out there and saying, oh, no one's going to be able to beat Donald Trump. Joe Biden, he screws up too much. Bernie Sanders is too far to the left. Elizabeth Warren as well. No one's going to be able to beat Trump. And I heard that from Michael Bennett, who is in a Politico piece where he was sitting on his hotel room couch watching the debate over some pizza. Like, come on. Like, there's a reason why you're there and those people are up there, because they're people actually like them. Like, that's a reality of the situation. But still, there's a lot of speculation. People's names being thrown out, like Michael Bloomberg, Hillary Clinton, even thinking that she wants to run again. People have been apparently urging her to run. I mean, I'd like to have a serious talk with those people, checking for their sanity. But
Yeah.
it would be probably better for Bernie, obviously, if she did run, because that would be very interesting. But I really failed to see that her being able. I wonder how she would pull. I mean, I heard she. It would be interesting. I mean, I think I saw a poll going out about that, but I'll try to find it. But I mean, what do you think of the field right now? Do you think there is a legitimate concern that there are people who think that it's very possible that none of these Democrats may have what it takes to beat Trump? Do you think that's a legitimate concern or no?
There are some candidates on the stage who I feel like would be a little bit iffy with going up against Trump right now. I think the only candidates who really have a shot at really being good against Trump is probably Biden, Yang, and Bernie. There's only three. I mean, because Warren, the problem I have with Warren is that she is sort of interesting on the campaign trail. She makes herself seem as if she's a moderate on the campaign trail. But then on the debate stage, she acts as if she's some sort of, left person like Bernie. And that's an if side for her. And then you look at Buttigieg, as everyone says, he's quote unquote rising up. I don't think he's rising anywhere. I think he's just going downhill, which you look at the polls, he actually is. Yang's actually the only guy who's increasing a lot. That's the guy we should be watching. And honestly, in my opinion, if Yang gets the nomination, I wouldn't be worried at all if he goes on to win the nomination. The reason why, he has a common sense plan that actually works. A lot of the people who are up there on the stage have plans that are iffy and don't work, and they don't really have a plan. Some of them actually don't even have a plan. I want to bring that up, which is a complete joke out of that picture. But when you look at Yang's plan, people always say, well, I'm going to pay $50,000 a month. Well, it's easy. You look at the tech area, okay? You look at Amazon, look at Apple, Microsoft, Adobe, Hewlett-Packard, you name it. You look at GM, you name it. Okay? These companies don't pay federal income tax. Okay? They don't pay we don't pay internet sales tax, excuse me, when we buy on Amazon. But for some reason, when we go to the mom and pop shops, we do. And Amazon, by the way, doesn't pay taxes, but for some reason, our small businesses does. And if we evened out that tax rate, like literally, if we had the same tax rate that we have on the small businesses over to Amazon and over to all these other companies that don't pay, and if you put the same sales tax that each state puts onto their individual businesses that you walk into to get a sales tax onto online buying, we would have plenty of money. We would actually have a plethora of money generating from this. But obviously, a 6% income tax on a business is probably going to be way too low for a company like Amazon. I'm probably looking more like a 12 to 14% income tax on Amazon. While that may seem small, it really isn't that bad actually, because you're still getting plenty of money, which then you could easily put back into the UBI, which I believe a lot more, and then the stupid federal job guarantee that Bernie idiotically is for, which by the way is a disaster. A UBI is, I think, the best thing for our country right now. It lets you have the option of how you want to spend your money. How if you want to go back to school, you can use that money. Federal job guarantee doesn't do that. And you know what a federal job guarantee doesn't do either? It doesn't give you a job that you want. It just puts you on a list and they call you up and say, look, we got a job here for a contracting job over here in Missouri. If you want to put a wind farm up, you say yes or no, and that's it. With a UBI, for someone who needs to stay home with a child or with a mom, a dad, or whoever. Not as a homemade, but as if a child has to stay home with their mom or dad as they get older to take care of them because they can't afford a homemade, a UBI is going to help them out a lot more than a federal job guarantee. These are eat a lot of black holes, may I say, that the federal job guarantee has, while the UBI is easily going to fill all these black holes up, and also, by the way, be a lot better because Americans want a UBI much more than a federal job guarantee. Federal government does not even give the citizens a good job, and the people of the United States said a long time ago they didn't want a federal job guarantee, and the UBI is really the best bet right now. It's probably better than Bernie's idiotic federal job guarantee. So that's my point on Yang, but I think that
Yeah, are you
overall,
considering moving over from Biden to Yang? Because I know you stood pretty strongly for Biden in months past.
well, I'm still for Biden to completely. Yang is my knocking on my door second. Like he's out in the hallway right now. Um, and I want to give Biden a chance. Like I want to see what he does and what goes on after a couple of the what do you call it? The state primaries. I want to see what happens. I want to see the performance of all the candidates, and I want to see exactly where we go from there. For now, I still keep Biden as my pick, but Yang is definitely, Yang would be a good vice president for anyone, honestly, or he would be a great nominee in my opinion as
Or
well.
some maybe some sort of cabinet position. But yeah, I definitely think I would love to discuss a little bit more if we had a little bit more time to show something about the federal job guarantee versus the UBI. And I think it's very important to kind of just the reason why I personally support the federal job guarantee over the UBI is the federal job guarantee adds money to the economy by increasing productivity and output, which is something that you really do to greatly reduce or avoid the severity of inflation. Because you can't, like, it's people always try and criticize the kind of unicorn pie in the sky nature of Bernie Sanders' plans, but this would really kind of be something that would seriously be a kind of pie in the sky kind of plan, because it's sure everyone can have a pony, but not tomorrow kind of a thing. But that's a little thing just quickly about that. But I do want to get back to what we were talking about before is general election matchups. And I really don't get so much of the skepticism from the Democrats and all this hand waving about, oh no, there's no one who's going to be able to beat Trump. The national polling average for the Real Clear Politics, Biden plus 6.7 over Donald Trump. Trump versus Elizabeth Warren. Warren 5.7. Trump versus Sanders. Warren plus 6.5. Trump versus Harris. It would be Harris plus 1.6. Somebody definitely don't trust. Trump versus Buttigieg. Buttigieg plus 3.6. So that is the period of polls stretching from October the 21st to from August the 21st to October the 20th. So that's pretty much how far that stretches out. This polls going back to September. So this is just over a period of a very long time. So, I mean, the fact that this is such a freak out for Democrats, it's just so ridiculous to me, because there is such a big swath of candidates, and all candidates who are doing really well against a popular president, all of which who could probably run campaigns that would be able to beat Donald Trump. But the question is, what do you want to get out of those campaigns? And I think that's where we differ, and that's how we can have a stronger primary to ensure the best candidate to not only just beat Trump, because it's more than just that, but when we beat Trump, what world will we build? I think it's a question that some candidates answer far better than others.
I mean, I think that a lot of the candidates have a good chance. I mean, do they have anything for Yang by any chance? Like, I was reading that Yang actually was beating Trump by a good amount.
I can look that up right now. But
okay.
Yeah.
Overall, I think that any of the candidates that are really kind of maybe the top four have a good chance of beating Trump. And those are the four well, besides Warren. The three that I said, those are the people who are in the top four right now. And I think, funny enough, I mean, as much as I hate Warren, Warren's losing support to Yang. I don't know if you heard about that, but I was reading about that the other day, that the reason why she's now dropping in the polls is because Yang is actually getting a lot of support from her But also, funny enough, he got a slither